What is the mission this week in terms of trying to get some things straightened out?
Be more efficient, score a lot of points, and take care of the football. I mean, it's you can't overreact to one game, but yeah, it hasn't been good enough. It needs to be tighter, and there was we got to be better staying on the field, but more importantly, we got to take care of the ball. We got to create explosive plays.
When you looked at the video, was there anything in particular that jumped out at you first?
It's just I mean, there's a lot of things that go into something that happened the way it went down, and bottom line is they got after us, and our guys played hard. I was proud of their effort. They were prepared in their minds. We walked off that bus. I felt like we were all in it together, and they felt like we were going to play great. And for a quarter, it felt that way. And then things kind of can get away from you. And when you're fighting your way out of that stuff, and it feels like everything's on top of you, it's hard to fight your way out of that. And sometimes you press or you let it get to you, and you don't play your best. And I think that those are things we can all learn from. But it was a difficult situation, but watching the film, I was proud of how hard they play and the way they strained right up to the last play.
When it feels like there's a lot to do on the to-do list, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because if you go back a week before, you just said, well, the run game's coming along and we're getting healthy and we're going to be better in pass protection. You can't knee jerk, but you got to self-evaluate constantly, and you have to make adjustments, and it's based on the health and who you're playing and where we're at, and so it's there are a number of things that need to be tightened up, but it's amazing how if one or two plays goes different early and the energy feels different, I'm not saying you're going to go out and win the game, but you feel a whole lot different when you walk off the field. And right now it's about being confident, playing fearless, and attacking every day and getting out there and just being tighter in everything we do.
Whenever a coach brings an NFL offense to college, people wonder, is it going to be too complicated for college athletes to understand and run? Do you feel like that's been a problem at all this year?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of young players, and so at times, when you got guys injured and different things coming out, it can affect continuity, but that's not an excuse. I mean, we had 3 great days of practice leading up to that. Our walkthrough on Thursday, our practice, I would bet if you asked the coaches and the players, they felt like it was as sharp as it had been. The ball wasn't hitting the ground. We looked tight. We were on our assignments. We broke the huddle. We were confident. We were fresh, and I think that we got into a fist fight in a hostile environment, a lot going on, and at a point it got to us. And right, wrong, or indifferent, it got away from us, and we got to learn from it and get better. But in the end, I feel like we got the makeup and the players and the integrity to run the offense, and I've seen it be sharp. I've seen the same plays we're running and throwing for 350 early in the year. The same plays that that were successful against Florida are the same types of plays. It's just about execution, and it happened.
Start the game with the 3 and out. There hasn't been a lot of opening kind of script scoring drives. Is there a consistent theme to those struggles? No, it is something that
definitely something that has been evaluated, needs to change. But it was in full disclosure, you knew they would be geeked up, knew that they would be out to attack the run. We were going in with the mindset that we were going to run the ball and have some physicality in this game. We knew kind of what that first play might look like, be some collisions in there and be a violent play. Are you going to just drop back and play pass or do something, there's a fine line. And in that type of game, I chose that's my decision, to be conservative initially, to run the ball the first 2 plays, to get a bunch of young guys in that environment, the butterflies out, quite honestly. What sucks when that happens is we had a really good plan, we felt like, on third medium. We end up in 3rd and 9, it's a tough play, and we end up in a situation where Will's first throw of the game is not the one you want to start with to get a guy in the flow. But I will say this, we came off the sidelines, we knew what happened, they brought it, we realized where they were at, where we were at, and we came out in the second drive and we played action and we took advantage of it, and we had a really good balanced drive. So it's in us. That's a really good football team, and in that environment, the way they are and the way they're built, you got to be at your best, and there's no margin for error sometimes, and there was much too much of that on Saturday.
Missouri's defense has got after some teams, especially up front. What have you seen from them on tape?
They're good. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. I mean, this is the SEC. They got pass rushers, they got cover guys. I mean, Georgia went 3 quarters without a touchdown, you know. So they got the best players in the country out there, you know. So, you know, it's I watched South Carolina get overwhelmed and get basically shut out for you know, a half, and then, you know, get a scrappy touchdown, but they didn't do anything on offense. And so this defense will get to you if you let them. Vandy, I mean, they're playing some really good, confident football, and they're up for the challenge, and we're going to be up for the challenge too. But it will be a dogfight, and we have to be at our best and take care of the football, and we're going to have to win some one-on-ones because they play a lot of man coverage, and they're really good at it.
How do you get to consistently look from going from Mississippi State to the Tennessee game? A lot of variables in between those 2 different games, but how do you get it to be consistently executed for you guys on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And again, I don't know if sometimes it's a little of everything. It's a little of the environment, being on the road, and what that brought to the table. And so you have to change how you play. Part of it was the stage. Part of it was they're a good football team that puts a lot of pressure on you, and you got to answer them, and that you feel that. And young players, sometimes that anxiety can mount up, and so you have to just kind of stay the course and be fearless and not flinch. And we have to learn from that, and we will learn from that. I think we got the kind of guys that will grow from it, and that'll, you know, when you're just more comfortable, you're going to be flowing and execute, and it's going to come. And so when it doesn't go easy early, sometimes you got to fight through it. And but some of that is, you know, part of that is we have to just come out and trust each other and go out there and battle our ass off again. But we got to, more importantly, take care of the ball. I mean, we should have had 3 scoring drives in the first half. I mean, and that's the reality of it. And that doesn't excuse it. It is what it is. But, you know, against that football team, you're going to have to make every one of those drives turn into a touchdown if you're going to play the kind of game you want to play and win in that environment and hold on and beat them in a 1-score game.
That second drive that you referenced probably couldn't have gone any better, but it looked like you were passing to set up the run on that one.
I was, yeah.
Didn't see that, though, moving forward so much. Was there a reason? Did they adjust to what you did there?
I think the second drive, we kind of were still on script, and part of it is like you want to be balanced. I mean, you know, you want to control the pace of the game. You want to take it off, the burden off the defense. You want to earn first downs on third down and not be in third and long. But I thought the second drive, you know, we had a rhythm, and we got to a point, and it was, you know, a third down call, and we had it scripted where we thought some of those plays came up on the next drive that we ended up moving all the way back down into the red zone. So, you know, sometimes it's the flow of the game, but I felt like the second drive, you know, or the third drive, we had a swing screen that we had planned that we executed perfectly to Jaton for about 15 yards. We ran that same play in the second half, the exact same look, and we missed a block, and it was -2. Like, it's football, and we got to learn from it. We can't make those kind of errors, and we'll learn from that stuff. And but yeah, I can do a better job of keeping them off balance, but it's a fine line in that building too. Just not, you know, it was a tough. Let me just say this: trying to be perfect is probably not the best way to approach it all the time. But in those kinds of games, you feel like you need to be that kind of guy. You know, that kind of play calling and that kind of offense. So, and we weren't. We were far from it.
Obviously, Will probably forced some things late with the score where it was, but how did you think he performed when you got to watch the tape?
You know, he'll be. One thing I love about Will is he's very critical of himself, and he's very honest. He won't sugarcoat it. He knows the good and the bad. He'll tell you the truth. It's one of his great qualities, and not a lot of guys have the moxie to do that. And yeah, I mean, he will learn probably more from that game than any game to this point in his career, and it will help him tremendously in the future. You know, you get in those games, and what happens is you're playing okay, you're a little banged up, it's tough, and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh no, I gotta win the game in one play, and you're down by 2 or 3 scores, and that's not how it goes. And you have to play within your offense or whatever you're asked to do. And I think that that happens to guys at times. A lot of great ones go through this. I mean, I'm watching Brady and Rodgers and some great quarterbacks can't get points on the board either. It just happens. And I think that he felt like he had to carry us there at the end and in the second half, and that's probably the opposite way you want to approach it. And I think that he'll learn from that. But he's tough, man, and he stood in there, and it's a tough environment, but he's got thick skin. He's going to need it in his future, and he's got it. And he's got grit, and I know he'll bounce back and play great this week.
Rich, if you're in this long enough as a coordinator, you're going to go through tough times where things don't click the way you want them to.
Yeah.
How do you approach it? Are you lying in bed awake at night thinking about what went wrong, or are you grinding more in the office, or do you just keep paddling and keep the course?
It's a great question. All the above. I will tell you this, from the time that game was over to the time I got home and that bus ride home, you go through everything. You watch every snap a couple of times on the bus, and I thought long and hard about the first half, what could be different, what we could have done different. How do you find a formula to win a game against that team? And you do a lot of self-reflection, and I think the players do too. You ask them to, and they have to, and you got to grow from it. I got to learn from it. I'm learning this conference. And every week there's a new pass rusher to face, and every team's got one or two. That D-line was a lot better than I anticipated, quite honestly. They were really good. And I knew they were good, but I couldn't feel it until we were crowd noise and all that. I was like, whoa. So you gotta respect those things, and you grow from it, you learn from it. I do, we all do. And yeah, we got to tighten it up. But yeah, I've done a lot of that stuff. And you adjust and adapt, and you do what your players can do best, and you give them the best chance to win. That's all you can do.
Rich, when you are coming off a loss like that, when you're talking about self-reflection, is it sometimes hard to not reflect on what just happened as much when you have a new opponent to prepare for? Is it hard to find that balance as a coach, a player? You speak on that, please? Yeah,
no, it's another good question. Look, you never can overreact to these situations. I think we had very high expectations this year for our team. And so you go into a game like that and you build it up, and then it goes completely the way you don't want it. You put your worst out there, not your best. And when that happens, you feel like the world's falling in sometimes, but it isn't. It's one game, and you have to always keep that in perspective. And Coach had a great message to the team. It couldn't have been better. He put everyone's record on the board, and you look at where you're at, and you think about it. Hey, we're still in the upper echelon. And we've given a game away, and we can be better, and we have to be tighter. But it's how you finish, and it's what you are at the end, not now. And we have to continue to grow and get better. And I think we will. We have the right people in that room, and I think we have all the right makeup in this building to get that done, no problem.
All right, folks, thank you very much.